Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we'll be looking at Cyngn Inc. and some numbers that might just make you scratch your head. So what's the big news? Well, it looks like Cyngn Inc. is giving us an update on how they did in their second fiscal quarter, which finished up on June 30, 2025. They've put out a press release to share their financial results, and we're here to break down what those numbers actually mean for the company. Let's dive into what they've shared. They've released their financial results for the second quarter of 2025. It's good to see companies being upfront with their performance, and we're aiming to make sense of it all for you. This filing is essentially them telling us, here's the information, and we're attaching the full press release as an extra document for anyone who wants to dig even deeper. Think of it as them officially including the detailed story of their performance in this report. Now let's look at how their stock is doing. Cyngn Inc.'s common stock is traded under the symbol CYN on the Nasdaq Stock Market LLC, specifically on the Nasdaq Capital Market. This is where you'd typically find smaller growing companies. And here's an interesting detail. Cyngn Inc. is checking the box to say they are an emerging growth company. This means they are a relatively new company, and the government gives them some flexibility in how and when they have to follow certain updated accounting rules. It's like a special pass for newer companies as they get their footing. This part just confirms that their stock is officially registered and traded on a major exchange like Nasdaq, which is a good sign of being a legitimate public company. This section is all about the company's performance and financial health. They've released their results for the second quarter of 2025. This is a bit of legal speak, but it's important. When companies say information is furnished rather than filed, it generally means it's for informational purposes and they aren't taking on the same level of legal responsibility for it as they would if it were formally filed in certain contexts. They're sharing the news but with a careful disclaimer. This is the most crucial exhibit here. It's the press release itself, which you can imagine is packed with the numbers we need to analyze to really understand Cyngn's situation. This press release from August 6, 2025 is the source of all the good and maybe not so good details about Cyngn Inc.'s second quarter performance. And here we see the signature. This shows who officially signed off on the report, confirming its accuracy to the best of their knowledge. This is simply confirming that the company has followed all the rules and regulations to get this report filed correctly. The report itself was signed on August 7, 2025, just a day after the press release, showing they are moving quickly to get this information out. And here we have Natalie Russell, the Interim Chief Financial Officer, signing off. It's her job to make sure these numbers square up and are reported properly. So let's cut to the chase. What does this report actually tell us about Cyngn Inc. second quarter? Unfortunately, the provided finding is a bit light on the actual financial numbers within the body of the 8K itself, focusing mostly on the reporting of those financial results via a press release. The real juicy figures are in that Exhibit 99.1, which we don't have the text for. However, based on the standard structure of an 8K like this, Cyngn is announcing its financial results, and as an emerging growth company, they are likely highlighting progress or any significant changes in their financial condition. Typically, in such a filing, we'd be looking at key metrics like revenue, profit or loss, cash on hand, and perhaps how their investments are bearing fruit. If this were a full financial report, we'd be scrutinizing things like how much money they brought in from selling their products or services, which is their main revenue stream. We'd also be interested in their operational cost, how much they spent to make and sell those products or services, which is their main revenue stream. We'd also be interested in their operational costs, how much they spent to make and sell those products or services, and also their usual overhead like salaries and rent. The results of operations and financial condition is where the story gets told. For a company like Cyngn, which is likely in the technology or perhaps the autonomous vehicle space given their name, we'd be looking for signs of growth. Are they selling more units? Is their technology gaining traction? Are they burning through cash faster or slower than expected? For example, if revenue was up significantly, say 20%, we'd want to know if that's due to selling more of their core offering or perhaps a one-time boost from a special deal. If their net loss narrowed, that's a good sign they are becoming more efficient. But if their cash balance is dwindling quickly, that's a red flag indicating they might need to raise more money soon, which can dilute existing shareholders' value. Since we don't have the specific numbers here, we have to infer based on the act of reporting. They are sharing their financial results, so we assume there's something to report. The fact that they are an emerging growth company and are traded on the Nasdaq capital market suggests they are in a growth phase, which often means they might be investing heavily and not yet profitable. These companies are often focused on market share and product development, sometimes at the expense of short-term profits. The key numbers we would want to see from their press release, if we had it, would be Eurothrust, their revenue. Is it growing compared to the previous quarter or the same quarter last year? A consistent upward trend here is crucial for a growing company. Second, their net income or loss. Are they making money or are they losing money? For an emerging company, a loss is not unusual, but the size of the loss and whether it's shrinking is very important. And third, their cash and cash equivalents. How much money do they have in the bank? This is their runway, showing how long they can operate before needing more funding. A strong cash position provides stability. Without the actual figures from the press release, it's tough to give a precise analysis, but the act of filing this report means they are communicating their financial standing. As investors or interested observers, we are always looking for growth, efficiency improvements, and a clear path to profitability. For Cyngn, being on the Nasdaq capital market means they are aiming for higher visibility and potentially attracting more investment. Now for our assessment, Cyngn Inc, by filing this report and issuing a press release, is signaling transparent communication with its stakeholders. As an emerging growth company, the market will be watching them closely for signs of solid execution and scalable business models. The risk for companies at this stage is often that their growth initiatives come at a high cost, leading to significant losses, and that they may struggle to secure future funding rounds if their progress isn't evident. The opportunity, of course, is that if they successfully navigate these early stages, they can capture significant market share and achieve substantial growth. In conclusion, while we lack the specific financial figures to conduct a deep dive on the numbers themselves from this particular filing, Cyngn Inc. has officially updated the market on its second quarter performance. The focus for investors will be on the details within the press release, particularly revenue growth, loss reduction, and cash management. To gauge the company's trajectory, stay tuned for more detailed analysis if more concrete financial data becomes available. What's your take on companies that are in this emerging growth phase? Do you find their potential rewards outweigh the risks? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Corporate Decoder for more. And don't forget to join our Discord community linked in the description for more in-depth discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.